Hello, 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 hello. What's up, everybody? Woo! All right, so we kick this baby off. We got the stream rolling. We got drinks in our hands, among friends. So if you guys want to grab a seat, including you guys, let's grab a seat. And yeah, welcome to weAReVR, Season 4, Episode 3. Woo! My name's Dale Deacon. I'll be filling in for Deliso, who's been doing this for like 4 years. It's been like 4 years since I've done the emceeing, so bear with me while I stutter and hum along and bumble my way through this. So who's who? One of the best things about this community and about meeting cool people in this space is meeting like the really like diverse crowd of people from all over the place working on really different things. So we've asked this question at every meetup, like ever since its inception, like who's an artist in the house? Put your hand up. Yes. Who counts themselves as a programmer, developer, technical? Yes, a few, very few. Yeah, a little bit. It's a gateway drug, careful. And then everything else, right? We have writers in the room, right? We have, who else? We have a lawyer. Yes. We have DJs in the house. Sir, at the back there, what do you do for a living, sir? Operations management. That's a new one for the list. Welcome. Cool. Thank you all for coming through. All right, same old story as every time we do this. Do a little welcome, little how's it, little intro, and then we move on to our guest speakers. Then we open the floor to everybody to say, what they've been working on, and then we hang out and have a drink and, yeah, stay in touch. Right, so welcome to Season 4, Episode 3. weAReVR, the XR capital of Africa. This is our aspirational goal, but I mean, it's not that aspirational, really, because when we did the Africa XR report, Joburg is one of the bustling hubs of this technology, or this set of technologies. So it's actually, it might sound like rhetoric, but like this is where all the cool things happen. Sure, a lot of it happens online, a lot of it happens remotely, but this is where it's really going down. Kenya and Nigeria, they're constantly trying to keep up with what we're doing here in Johannesburg. So this is Season 4, Episode 3, springtime. I read in the news that like they're bringing spring forward. So I thought that's a good way for us to like burst out of winter and into springtime. So welcome everybody. 6 years ago we started weAReVR down at the Tomorrow Gallery down below us, and here we are. Started from the bottom, now we're here. I really love this slide because like there's so many good memories here, and some people who went on to do some really interesting, cool stuff. And then some awesome innovations here. I mean, yes. It's a good vibe. It's a good vibe. Thanks for coming through. For anybody that's like a little hazy on all the jargon and terminology, because it's super daunting, like this technology is like really, it's got way too much jargon. But we talk about augmented reality, where we augment the real world. That's where you play Pokemon Go, or you interacting and portraying 3D and imaginary things into the real world on the one side of the spectrum. And on the other side of the spectrum, we have virtual reality, which is where you immerse yourself in this magical world. And then spatial computing is that nice catch-all term that we use for everything in between. So we have 3 awesome speakers for you guys tonight. We have Luke Draper. Woo! Award-winning game designer and creative technologist. And we also have Zofa and Von Mash, who just recently did a very cool project in augmented reality, which they'll get into the details. Very cool people. And then the third speaker is you guys. We want to hear what you've been working on, what you're up to, what interesting things you guys have been playing around with, what sort of experiments, what kind of professional projects, and we'll open up the floor to everybody. Cool. So without further ado, we bring you Luke Draper. Give him a round of applause. Woo!
Awesome, cool. Hi, is this close enough? So this presentation started when we were in Youth Month, so a while ago, and really titled this Lessons to My Younger Self, just because how I started, what I started with, and then I just thought now would be a good time to like look back, have a retrospective. What would I have changed, how I would have changed it, and the like. So that's me. Wow. Okay. Basically, MTN App of the Year, Best Gaming Solution nominee, MTN App of the Year winner, Huawei Startup Innovation Tech nominee, Innovation in Environmental Education, Jeep kind of a nominee, I suppose, in that. Founder of the Year Africa nominee, Startup of the Year Africa nominee, Metaverse Council AR/VR Pioneer, and JCI Young Person of the Year nominee. So many things, so many words. What is more important about this whole write-up that you can all see in how I promote myself, more importantly, is that my degree is in arts. I have honors in performing and visual arts. I don't have an IT degree, so if this feels more like a stand-up routine than an IT presentation, that is why. And we're going to start, so here we go. First off, Viva Academia. We're going to start with something called Bartel's player types. All players who play any sort of video game fit on 4 sort of axes, where you're killers, achievers, socialites, or explorers. You're on an axis of acting or interacting, and it's whether you're acting or interacting with players or with the world. The reason that I bring that up is you're going to see some game designs that I put up, and you're going to be like, how do you know if you win? Who are you playing against? And that is really not the point of some of the game designs that I make. But let's get started on how I kind of like fell into that. So just keep that in mind. I started building a game called weAReVR, which is a Pong clone where you play against Donald Trump. And the reason that it's wall is because pixel art is easy, and I suck at art. And this was an arcade-style game where if you beat Donald Trump, who's supposed to be this AI on the left, 5 times, it pulls a random insult from an array. The audio insults range from things from Monty Python to Star Wars, and I just really thought that the gameplay loop would be how to unlock all these insults. And why would you keep playing? Because if he wins, he's got a set of choice insults for you as well. This was a game that I made in Cresta Shopping Center, stealing their Wi-Fi outside of McDonald's, because usually I work evenings in clubs, pubs, theaters. I work in theater by trade, so my days were open, and this is what I put together. Moving forward, you'll see what I like is this is a game called Icy Cool. It's a little dodgem game where this penguin just goes left and right, and as the more you stay alive, the more these kind of snowballs fall at a rapid speed. You can't see it here, but what I do love, and you'll see it now in my VR work, is that I love this idea of different input controls. So this penguin is actually controlled by tilting your phone left and right. It uses a velocity equation where the more you tilt it, it speeds up. And you can't just hook it the other way and it has to slow down before it moves. The reason that came from that is if you've ever had like your parents or your siblings play a game, and especially when they're driving, they do this. Like it doesn't, like I wanted that to actually be the control system. And I really like this idea of treating games like they should be on that device. This is the game that put me on the map. This is Rhapsody. This is a game that I was interested in how do we take music and make that the key points of the game. So what happens is for 2 minutes, we've got a random hip-hop track that drops in, and every 15 seconds it gives you a different word. There's an array of music, there's an array of words, and now this was the idea of how do you have better hip-hop performers? How do you have better rap artists? How do you have tools that develop musical talent? And this is what I put in. After that, I then scaled it up. I created 2 versions of the game, one called One Shot and one called Fast Track. The same concept, only that with One Shot, it gave you one word, like a topic word, while it played the track, and Fast Track, instead of every 15 seconds, every 10 seconds a word came. And you could see this was like how to scale the same design. And what is most important and why people really loved this and gravitated this was how it made money. Because how many people are making games that don't make money without any business plan? The idea with this was to basically partner with a studio to say, I have 10 tracks that play at random at any given point in this game. If you have a bunch of artists that can give me 2-minute clips, we can basically have this game work with that studio, and now we use games to promote the industry, and we're cross-doing like music and gaming. So that happened. No bites because COVID happened, but that didn't stop me from being #1 on the Apple paid music category. I beat SpongeBob at the bottom there. I only got third in the word game category because I was losing to Ellen DeGeneres' Heads Up game and Scrabble. So I had to come to terms that I would get the bronze medal on the App Store, and that was probably as good as it was going to get. It was also nominated for the MTN App of the Year Best Gaming Solution in 2020 and 2021. Why was it nominated twice? Well, that's because I lost to myself. I was nominated on other projects, and my psychologist was right. I am my own worst enemy. So why are we looking at a picture of me that looks like it should be kind of a wanted criminal? This is signs of things yet to come. But more importantly, there's this thing that happens in game development history that I realized that if I just jump to the next slide, you're going to be like, that's suspect. So what happened is, if you've ever heard of Game Workshop, Warhammer 40,000, Helldivers, Vermintide, those guys. In the 80s and 90s, Games Workshop did something called releasing their IP. Basically, they make tabletop games and figurines and maps and lore, and they saw video games coming and they couldn't compete. They didn't have any sort of developers, but they were like, if we do not strike at this, they are going to take our lunch. So they released their IP. And what that meant is that any developer could create a game using their characters, their likeness, their lore, any of that, not be sued, go to Games Workshop with that, and Games Workshop would become the publisher of those games, which is why you see such a differentiation between something like Fire Soldier or Blood Bowl, any of their card games. They're all so different, and it's because they're all done by different game studios. Why is that important? Because Riot Games, the creators of League of Legends and Valorant, did the same. They said, you may make games using our IPs, you pitch it to us, we will become the marketing company for it. And I did exactly that. This is Augmented Rift. This is a multiplayer, offline, AR card battling game. So many words, so grateful for pictures. And what basically happened is, if you imagine that you have a bag of puzzles, I have a bag of puzzles. When you click Start Turn, you've got a 30-second counter. You build the puzzle. Once it's completed, it has the attack animation of one of your favorite League of Legends characters. The idea of how it was difficult was, imagine you had a two-piece puzzle, and you put that together in the 30 seconds, and your little character pops up and he does 1 damage, versus if you have a 15-piece puzzle, and that affects the games more. You have tanks that shield, you have healers that heal, and basically this was the game that I took to MTN because they accepted demos as well. I handed it into Riot Forge, and I was like, well, here you go, this is what I'm working on. What do you think? For those with no imagination, this is what the puzzles would look like. Can you make that 4-piece puzzle in 30 seconds? Can you make that one, which is a lot harder? And you understand how there's a skill ceiling and floor. Again, how this made money is not selling the app, but selling the puzzles. You have 110 League of Legends characters. Everyone has 4 spells and 1 attack animation, so that's 5 times 110. And all of a sudden, we're now selling physical products that work in AR. And I win. Woo! Yeah, thank you. thank you. And that was great, because not only am I now an award-winning game designer and developer, it was with an AR project. And that was great, because every single journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single cease and desist order from Riot Forge. Dear Luke Draper, my name is Leanne, the head of the third-party publishing act for Riot Games, Riot Forge. I'm writing this in response to your submission. Long story short, we want to work on single-player games. We don't necessarily want to work on multiplayer games, and they wanted to just leverage what they were doing. And this whole time there was a lot that went wrong at MTN App of the Year. I think key to that, anything that would have protected me legally fell through the cracks. I did the whole write-up and spiel that I told you about the game. The person live tweeting the event backspaced all of that out. What I was trying to achieve didn't fit into the size of a tweet. And they said the creator of League of Legends, Luke Draper, just won MTN App of the Year. So I talk about it all in a brainstorm article of a reporter that called me. And the title of the article was, Coding, It's Not All Fun and Games. Fun and games, more like law and order. That happened the following day. A reporter called me, and he was already writing a story. He wanted to write Luke Draper, South African hacker, steals $1 million IP, fleeces MTN of R1 million. Because MTN App of the Year was promoting that if you win App of the Year, you get R1 million, which is not completely true. If you are the grand prize winner, which that year it was Easy Equity, you get R1 million. If you keep a key over here, they paid for my internet for a year, and I got a glass trophy. So not exactly where I should be sued. The story of how that guy called me, he called MTN to complain and say, how is this guy getting away with this? They sent him my file. Obviously, he opened the game, and because he didn't have the target markers, it was an empty screen. And he was like, this is obviously a con. And I was like, well, you obviously don't have the AR markers. He called me on my morning run, and my plan was to go for a run, have a cup of coffee, get back home, and work on my applications for Huawei Startup competition, which was the following week. I did not help the situation by how I answered the phone, because I was running, and when he called me, and I knew he was going to call me, he said, is this Luke Draper? And I said, yes, with cars zooming in the background. And he said, is now a bad time? And I said, yes. He said, why? And I'm like, because I'm running. And he says, when would be a good time? And I said, when I'm done running, and I put down the phone. The whole story about the tweet at MTN, I only found out much later, and why Leanne, who this email isn't showing, but the idea of why she got so angry about it was because it was up on MTN's Twitter account for 6 hours before she even woke up on a Friday morning. I was so apologetic. I wish I could tell you that I was like, oh no, then you shouldn't make your game so easy to like replicate. I was so apologetic. I knew that I like ruined her day. And the one other thing, for those who are more technically astute among you, if you saw that, you might ask yourself, hey Luke, how did you get the attack animations, models, skins, audio, names, all these things of these very prolific characters? Well, officer, in my defense, I just thought that the best way to represent the game that you're pitching to them is to use their game models. And my lawyer at the time had to change her tone from, this isn't copyright infringement. What you're trying to pitch to everybody else is that you saw a Volkswagen Polo and you built a Volkswagen Polo. What you actually did was see a Volkswagen Polo, get in it, and drive away. And that is a different story legally. You don't really have a leg to stand on, do you? And I was like, well, not really. But I've still got a glass trophy, and this is what happens when you win App of the Year and people don't listen to the entire pitch of your game. At this point, I'm lucky that I didn't get sued because I was so apologetic, but this was the problem. It's during COVID, I'm trying to get a job. My idea of all of a sudden getting into Riot Forge doesn't happen. I have to build a portfolio. I build an augmented reality environmental game that says, well, you don't get to talk about environmentalism. Let's create a filter that says, do you recycle? Can you recycle? Do you plant trees? And I all of a sudden get nominated for a GWEP Environmental Awareness and Tech Award. I start making games relating to musical theater because during COVID, we didn't have any theater. And I thought, let's make a game that says sing a song from, and it gave you a random musical. I bottomed out at 10,000 impressions a day, maxed out at 80,000 impressions a day, 100 million in total impressions. I am doing better than the Kardashians. And on that far side, I get invited to be with Meta to test their hand tracking, and of the languages that I speak, sign language is one of them. It's not enough to turn around and say, how do you say hello if you don't even know the alphabet and the numbers? So I got to use their hand tracking to help educate in terms of South African Sign Language. I still keep going. I sign up to NASA's startup competition, and I build an AR 3D model of the Mars rover. The Light SA Red campaign was a campaign that was supposed to bring the attention to the fact that we weren't having government support during the entertainment industry. That went well, and then I turned around and shipped it to the UK, where they had the same social justice campaign, and that was really great to be a part of hacktivism. And on the far that side is Dave, who you might know as the Kiffness. When I created a filter that says, how Kiff are you? It cycles through it, and eventually it turns around, and now we're like proudly South African and promoting a lot more awareness in a lot more ways. I put this all together, and I'm looking for a job. It's still COVID outside, and Meta invites me, and they're like, well, can you build a game for our bootcamp? And I'm like, well, only if you don't publish it, because returning friends. And thankfully, that is all internal, which means it never saw the light of day. I swapped out puzzle pieces for a Rubik's Cube. And now when you solve the side, we have various animations that go with it in AR. Again, I package it all together, and I get funded by the Global Young Innovators Program. I start my work in virtual reality. I get a partner in the UK. The two of us, we get £10,000 in funding to develop environmental education kind of resources. I end up in the Two Oceans Aquarium in Cape Town. They agree to let me pilot what I'm doing, which is an undersea VR experience, with 20 11-year-olds. And I don't care what any of your opinions are on my work. I cared more about those 20 11-year-olds because I think that you guys would be nice and tell me that I'm doing well. I did not think that they would. And if you think that that is much of a joke and I'm just grasping at straws, look at the grip on my hands. I am holding myself while asking a child what he thinks I should build. I was so glad that they thought I was cool. There was a moment where I was like, my name is Luke Draper, I'm a game developer. Do any of you know about virtual reality? I'm going to test something with you here. I want you all to tell me, do you have any ideas what you want to see? And 20 of them all put up their hands. And I was like, okay, I might be onto something here. I then go on and I have a bit of I'm a fan of languages. And then I took this model and I said, right, okay, so Duolingo, 5 minutes a day, you can learn a language. In VR, a lot of the experiences, you kind of have to strap on for quite a while and sit there. I then built Kanji School VR. It's this idea of, let's talk about written languages. For 5 minutes a day, you can go and do the worksheets and start by numbers, then go to animals, objects, and really get in kind of that's the VR interactive learning environment. These are also the worksheets that are in line with their official schooling that they teach kanji. And if you turn around and say, look, we've noticed, how did you get the official worksheets to teach kanji? And I'll say, well, officer, moving on. There's lawyers who do pro bono, and they say the idea of how they say it's saying in their work is they do one for you, one for me, as in one that pays the bills and one that keeps me sane. This is the one for me in this equation. The reason there is no audio for this is because I'm like going, I'm a Digimon, yeah. Kind of just playing with how can I take 3D models and have that as the control system. If you're any part of the weAReVR Jozi group as well, you'll also see that I'm building Chainsaw Man in VR. That's not here because they're suing their own creators and I don't want any of that smoke. This is how I accidentally ended up at MIT. How did I accidentally end up at MIT? I entered a hackathon and I thought it was online. And then my acceptance letter came with an address, which is an address in Boston. And I said, I don't have the paperwork. And they're like, it's fine, we'll do it for you. And at that point, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm at MIT now. This is what we're building. You'll see Maddie in the top corner. He's actually got the wearable AR glasses. And if you imagine, actually, don't imagine, we built it. This is an AR classroom where we had models that you could actually reach, make larger, smaller. The idea of if you had a question in front of you that said, we're asking how many teeth are in the skull, you can look to your left, you can find a poster, and then all of a sudden the skull pops out and you're like, oh, I can check. We did that across the board with a lot of different things. This was great. I got to work with the best and brightest at MIT. Pay attention to these AR glasses. I will reference them at the end. But yeah, we got a special mention at MIT. We came basically second in our thematic track. And that was really important because MIT, I got to answer like a lot of questions like, what are we all working on? How does this like grow? And more importantly, why are my hands always in my mouth like I'm a child when somebody is testing my demos out of nerves? Going forward, like let's talk about what I do today. I am 1/3 of the C-suite of a startup called RAM Studios. And we were funded to the tune of 1.5 million Rand to develop solutions that teach people about the misuse of alcohol. On the far side, you can see a blurred vision filter. This was important to us because you cannot advertise anything educational or not alcohol-wise on a high school. And our research was showing that we've got people drinking from the age of 14. So somehow you can't educate these teenagers, but we have this problem. So we built a social media filter where we now have that targeted access. In the middle, we have something that will showcase the effects of overdrinking, weight gain, patchy skin, bloodshot eyes, and it's the idea of sometimes people don't know what the problem actually entails. And on the far this side, we developed a chatbot solution. Some people, we realized that the baseline knowledge isn't there. Some people don't know what binge drinking is. They don't know what a problem even is, and we developed an AI solution that collects that data and puts people in the right direction. This is a hard story to tell because 1.5 million sounds like a lot of money. And then you realize that it was grant funded, which means it was highly regulated. And now let's start doing the math. Of 1.5 million, that's cool. 3 co-founders, so that means it's $500,000 each, to be used at a minimum of 2 years. So you take 500,000 Rand, you divide it by 24 months, and all of a sudden, it's looking a lot more like a salary, and that 1.5 million that you are planning on buying a house with and an office with, that's not the case. The way these programs work in terms of like grant funding is you'll get a project manager. Underneath that project manager, they'll hire a suite of coaches. Each coach is allocated to a team, and you report to that coach, they report to the manager, and it goes up and down, basically on progress and money made. We had a terrible coach. Our coach was scheduling meetings at 8 p.m. on a Friday evening, not coming to them, scheduling them for 9 a.m. on a Saturday, not coming to them, and then saying, I'm sorry I missed your meetings, can we schedule them for 9 a.m. on a Sunday? And we had to do it. And we had to do it because this was the person who would sign off on our money. And it's my biggest, it's the thing that hurts me the most, that I let investors have so much of a say in how I should build things and who I should listen to, and not only me, but my team as well. And it's hard, I think, because I know why I acted the way I did. I know why I was so placid. I know why I agreed to all these meetings, because we all thought that for the sake of the team, this is what we need to do to get paid. And they still owe us 400,000 Rand, and they're still 6 months past due. And it's hard at talks like this, because I never want to be somebody who sells you a dream, who says, crack open Riot Games game files, win an award, and you're set for life. But at the same time, I also don't want to be the person who breaks other people's dreams. And I know for many of us here, applying for funding is a big part of what we try to do. I've just never met an entrepreneur who said we achieved funding and life became so much easier. And and maybe the bad experience here is I had the exception, not the norm. My coach that we had with the Global Young Innovators program was amazing. 2.5 years later, I still make time to see her whenever I'm in Cape Town. She's still on the guest list for every show I work on. We still go out for lunch and breakfast. She tells me how her son is doing at private school. I tell her how I can't sleep because I'm trying to make this thing work. And maybe you'll be lucky, and maybe you'll have great coaches in your funding programs, like I did for the first time round. And maybe I take too much blame. I was part of a team. Maybe looking back, turning around and saying, you know, nothing, sit down, shut up, would have also been quite problematic. And maybe I'm a little too harsh on myself. Because in the beginning, like I mentioned, I don't talk about my problems until I found a solution. At the top is an email from Pathfinder and Qualcomm, the guys that I met at MIT, who said, congratulations, we're happy to share that we've accepted you into our program. Those AR wearable glasses and those phones are now at my office, at my home, same thing. And we are the only people in the continent to actually have them. I took the company, I took the people I had, I took the demos that I had, and they said, well, let's go. And funny enough, the one thing I always do is I leverage any problems. They said, do you have any runway? And I'm like, well, I mean, we're owed 400,000 Rand from our investors, so we have 400,000 Rands worth of runway. And they're like, yeah, that works. So we got to that. I then keep moving. Then the consulting firm that I work with in Santon, I said, everything that you've got to me as a contractor, can we then change it to RAM Studios? And they said, that's perfectly fine. So now all of a sudden we have a preferred supplier agreement to this. And yes, it's all contract work, but we're getting there. And it helps so that these are the same guys who are the outsourcing company that work on the training, the installations, the marketing materials for SAB, not necessarily the SAB Foundation. We are no longer dealing in grant money, we are dealing in paid for development. As a side note, I'm also contracted to Pam Goulding Hospitality. Any kind of museum, any kind of cultural heritage center, things moving forward that you see in the wake of Afrofuturism, how we're building things like AR game drives, VR museums, I have a say in that. And the funniest part about that is that do you have a team? And I'm like, I could find some people. And all of this packaged together, last month I was nominated as one of the top 20 finalists of the JCI Young People in South Africa. So I guess it's kind of going well in all things. So this is it. Final slide, thank you very much. The closing remarks I always wanted to put together is I've always been very intentional with my work. We talked about this earlier. If my idea is to build just a prototype, I'll build a prototype. If my idea is to have fun, I'll make sure I have fun. If my idea is to network, I'll make sure I network. Looking at all my work, people are like, so how much money did you make building weAReVR? And I was like, I didn't make any. And they looked at me shocked, and I was like, well, that wasn't the point. The point was to learn about Unity. And then they're like, well, aren't you ever sad that Augmented Rift had to get canceled by the developer? I was like, no, because its purpose was to win an award, and it won an award. My final advice to anyone in this space is just be intentional with your work. Write your own metrics to success. Don't let other people apply their metrics to your work, because you'll just make yourself sad. So if you want to have fun, make sure you're having fun. If you want to get paid, make sure you're getting paid. And if you want to commit massive IT fraud regulations, that's my number and my email. You can find me on LinkedIn to hear what you're coming up with. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Luke Draper. Thank you very much.
We're popular.
It's in there.
Thank you.
All right. Good job, Luke. Thanks, man. All right. Thank you, Luke. I wouldn't come to a room of people and tell them all sorts of illegal things that I've done, but you're a brave man, but also an adventurous creator. Thank you so much for sharing. Really appreciate it. All right, so we have two newcomers to the group, relative newcomers, but they're already making some awesome waves, making some awesome projects. So please give them a great big round of applause and a great big weAReVR welcome to Von Mash and Zofa Wallace.
Hey everyone. We don't normally speak so much in public, so just please mind us. Okay.
Yeah, like the mosque were not made to speak in public, so please excuse the mumbling.
Okay, so as an introduction, my name is Zofa Wallace. I am an XR specialist, mainly in the art industry, not as opposed to other industries, trying to make art very cool to the young kids, especially because art kind of breaks barriers down. And I'll give you a chance to.
Okay, and I'm Von Mash. I'm a digital artist. I basically work on Photoshop, and I use a webcam to actually design some of the designs. So, yeah, we don't usually speak in public. Somehow the masks don't make it a bit clear, but yeah, hopefully you're gonna hear a bit of what we have to say. Thank you.
Okay, so we're just gonna go through our slides. Please be patient with us. So about us is, we don't even know how to use a mic. That's how bad it is.
We're breaking our backs out here.
Okay, so me and Von kind of met, just about us, me and Von kind of met in 2020 during lockdown through a mutual friend of ours. I was commissioned to do an exhibition with Fagogesi, and that's when I met him and we started working from there. So from that point on, we worked on, I think, 4 projects. 4 projects so far, from Fagogesi in 2020 to the International Public Art Festival in 2023. Okay, you guys are making us feel so welcome right now. That's great. Okay, and he also had his own show at Untitled Basement, which won an award in 2022. And then recently is our digital mural that we did in Braamfontein with the help of the Art Bank and also South Point by giving us a wall. I think now this is the part where we speak about, so we're going to touch base with what we did in Braamfontein, and then you just take it away.
Okay, so the artwork that we did at Braamfontein, basically the title of the artwork is called Joint the joint future of Africa. So the concept was inspired by the concept of duality and joining the two parts, putting them into one. So it's like taking the darkness and the light. So basically how I actually came up with the design was how the rest of the world looks at Africa and how we as Africans look at ourselves. So how the world looks at Africa is like Africa is still backwards in terms of technology, does not have enough infrastructure to actually pursue the digital side. So it was like a way of me introducing that side into the art world and actually fusing the two sides into one. So it's like taking the dark comments and the negative comments that come with Africa in terms of evolving and in terms of infrastructure, and actually combining it with where we would like to see Africa in terms of their creativity, in terms of technology-based, mixing technology with art. So it's like fusing the darkness of how the world sees us and mixing it with the light of where we are as Africans. So it's like taking the darkness, and we as Africans are shining the light and casting out the darkness. So the concept is, it's a fusion of two minds, and with that, we're trying to change the perception of how we actually look at it. So the two sides are like in conflict, but as one, make one complete picture. I think that's why the hands are mixed. The hand is within the white face, and the white face is within the dark face. So with all of my work, it's usually inspired by duality, but this one speaks more towards the outside perception and my inner voice. Yeah.
Okay, so also, by the way, there is 2 demos that we are going to show you guys. I'm not sure if you're able to scan the QR code from there. Okay, if it doesn't work, that means you haven't updated your app. So I'll highly recommend you update your app, please. Okay, so these are all the tools that we used, I guess. There's one missing, it's WhatsApp. That's actually the most one that we've used, communicating with each other. But yeah, these are all the software that we used. It is a Meta Spark experience. Generally throughout my career, it's been more engaging using social media, augmented reality. Then
we're missing one. I think we're missing Cinema 4D.
Oh, and Cinema 4D. Okay, I don't use Cinema 4D. Yeah. So the reason why we use social media AR is it's more on the ground. Also, it's very accessible to a lot of people instead of having to make them go into downloading an app and all that stuff. They already have that app on them. It's also easy to share and tag the relevant people because everyone has Instagram. But then, recently I've been discovering now also the accessibility with weAReVR as well, which is something that we're trying to go into as well to kind of explore more options and stuff. And then, so this has been the process from it, and then Von Mesh will kind of touch into how the process of the mural that we did in Braamfontein entailed from his start to finish, and then I will speak more about my AR journey on this work.
Okay, so in terms of like the production phase of the mural, it first starts with conceptualizing, obviously. After I draw up a few concepts, after drawing up the few concepts, I hit my Wacom and start drawing up the actual figure. And I use programs such as Cinema 4D to actually create the goals and the actual accessories. So when it comes to actually putting the mural on the wall, I digitally print. Yeah, it sounds better like this, right? I digitally print the artwork on a piece of paper because I wouldn't want to like redo it again. So, and it takes away the digital part of actually creating the artwork. So I digitally print it, and then I paste it on the wall. And then I add some of the aesthetics on the sides, like patterns or symbols, just to unify the picture with the outside. Like it helps it stretch out the mural a bit more. So after adding the actual picture, sticking the picture on the wall or installing it on the wall, I paint, and then I move it over to Zofa Wallace, who actually creates the augmented reality layer on top of it.
Okay, so over here, that's how the mural looks for people who haven't checked it out. It's at corner Meili and Jutta Street in Braamfontein. Hopefully no one tags on top of it because that will take away my half of the work. So yeah, but it's been there since we finished in July. End of July. Yeah, end of July we finished the mural. So feel free to go check it out. Tag us if you want to. It'll be nice to see who's actually checking our work out. Don't tag us, it's fine. I will find the statistics at the end of the day. So, okay, so over here, that's the QR code. I'm not sure if everyone can be able to scan the QR code. I need some guinea pigs to test it out. Oh, it's a whole farm. So this QR code leads you to the actual experience without scanning the mural. So I kind of just did courtesy to kind of bring it into today's talk. So everyone is okay after scanning? Virus, nice. Okay, so just for the sake of time, if you guys can't, we will bring it back a bit after our chat. Okay, so these are some of the statistics we got so far from the experience since we finished end of July. So according to what you guys see on the board, on the screen, not the board, 4,000 people kind of opened it up, 250 kind of captured it and probably shared it or saved it. 12 people saved it for later, and then 4 people only shared it now. I'm not really bothered by the numbers. I think the more people that open in experiences, you don't necessarily have to record it or share it. So I'm more happy about the amount of people that opened it up, which is quite nice, considering that it's in Braamfontein, student accommodation, a student village. So that kind of showed that people are into engaging with digital art in some way or form, which leads me to what we are trying to do next. I'm not sure how many people are in the same group from weAReVR Joburg, but I've sent some prototypes basing on what we're trying to do next. Basically trying to create murals and then make it more interactive. So we did like a little demo using the weAReVR Joburg poster for today. And the next QR code will also lead to a little interactive puzzle that you guys are going to do. Very basic, but it does show what might be possible. And then I will kind of like just touch on what Von mentioned in terms of his inspiration on the work and the efforts behind this particular work. So the way I did it was mainly because of the duality. I kind of split the hands, created black hands and white hands in my own way, just to kind of strengthen his message of duality outwards and inwards as well. So you guys will get to experience that as well. I might have to... Oh, no questions, right? Please, no questions. Please, maybe afterwards. But I think as a closing remark, what we're trying to do is, I have a lot of friends that who are in the tourism industry, and it's very nice to kind of hear what they speak about in terms of what murals do to people in the city. They get to engage with it. And us being, my role in this is kind of giving it an extra step or an extra engagement factor, or extra good factor in engaging with the art outside. I mean, I do get the challenges about like having your phone out in the streets and all that stuff. Phones become quite dangerous, so we are aware of those, but ideally would like to kind of bring the digital like VR, AR into the art scene. It becomes quite monotonous or like very like constant, or you have to go to a gallery and then there's nothing really special about what's happening, considering that we're living in an age of AI and technology. So yeah, I thank you guys so much. I think I don't have any closing remarks, but okay, thank you so much. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, just let us know. We'll be hanging around here and there. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, you can be in the middle, man.
Yeah, it can be the
It's a robbery.
Thanks, guys. That was
Thank
cool.
you.
That was really cool.
Thank you. Oh, that was the first time talking.
Thanks. I really appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much, Ethan.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know.
We can leave these babies up.
Yeah, I have two of them, huh?
Yeah. Oh, right.
So I have this one
We can put them side by side, maybe.
and this one. Yeah, are you able to do that?
We'll figure it out.
Okay, I'll just put this for now and then.
We're gonna do the open session, open the floor, and then I'll come back to it.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, yeah.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Thanks, Sofa and Vaughn. Ooh, you guys are tall. Freaking awesome. I've always said since we started these meetups, whether we have the meetups or not, new people are going to come into the space and create cool technologies, and this technology is going to keep on like cruising along with or without us. So that's what makes these gatherings so special, is we get to share. You know, we're all going to be venturing off and doing these crazy things, but you know, once a month or once every couple of months, we can come together and like celebrate this awesome stuff that we're all doing. So thanks, everybody. So the next thing on the agenda is the open session. So if anybody has anything they want to share, any projects they want to share, if they're feeling particularly inspired about anything, anybody. Ed? I saw a mini hand. Yeah? All right. Ed, could all right, thanks.
Thanks. I'm glad to hear Fakugezi already in the talks, Von Mash and Zofa. And also Von Mash had won a Fakugezi award also, which had just currently finished, so we're busy. I have seen people in the room who had applied for the awards who we're shortlisting at the moment. Just to shout out for Fakugezi, which will be in October, 2nd to the 5th. We do have something quite interesting. It's not totally open to the public, but for this group, I would say you're welcome. Any of you are welcome to chat to me. There is something that we're starting this year called Dala Corner, which is, if you kind of remember the days of Fakugezi when there was a maze in Fakugezi, it's a kind of local concept of a maze that we're starting this year. So because it's a kind of starting concept, we also just it's not an open call, but closed call to anyone in this room. If you want to showcase something that you're working on that's interesting, it's really like a place to showcase like indie projects that you're developing. So just come speak to me. We'll find a way to make it work. We do provide the space and the kind of scene setting for it. We are kind of setting it up in a nice way. Otherwise, we have very exciting stuff. Electric South is working on us to showcase some 3 really amazing projects from New Dimensions Lab. So there'll be nice stuff to see, as well as a lot of other stuff during the festival. We currently have kind of phase 1 tickets open, but if you consider yourself a kind of industry player or intermediary, also just come and chat to me. We'll kind of just make sure you get tickets to the festival. Yeah, hope to see you at the festival and chat a bit later.
Thanks, Ed. I'm sure a bunch of us will be there. A bunch of us from here will be there. So let's all. You coming up? Come on up. Oh. T's going to be there, but she's not going to do stand-up tonight. All right, cool. Anybody else got anything cool to share? Any ideas, any projects, anything on the go? Going once, going twice? All right, so I always give people a hard time for not sharing, but I haven't shared something in quite a while. And Gary actually egged me on to do this, but we got a little bit of news. So on Tuesday, I'm going to be flying with another bunch of South Africans, some from Joburg, to Venice, Italy, to go show hang out with the Venice International Film Festival. People are really integrating virtual reality into their festival. So we've got a trailer here. We got some videos. Hey? Venice Immersive, yes. Well. Just give me a sec to find the trailer for one of them. Right, that's a good thing to shout out. Right, so Rick Truick is going from Cape Town. He's what's that? What? All right, there we go. All my secrets. So Rick is going to be taking his Uncanny Alley project, which he, you know, this project started off, geez, a million years ago, sort of cobbling together some cool ideas, and he's come up with this really interesting sort of theatrical adventure that he's hosting with some of the best VR performers in the world. So we're super excited to go check that out, and he's going to be showcasing it to you know, all the big wigs in the movie scene and the VR scene in Europe. So we're super excited. I actually just got my booking today to go check it out. I'm also really excited to go check it out. So Rick's got a project there. Then between Egbert, Vestra, Alex Bosman, myself, and Adam Lieber, we cobbled together this little piece, which is called Strange Ways. About as loud as it gets. So Strange Ways is a strange project, to say the least. It's based off the 2D illustrations of the artist Chris Bianchi, who did all of these really interesting, fantastical, psychedelic drawings. And Adam's idea was to bring this all into virtual reality and make an adventure, a maze that you can wind down through the artist's brain. So yeah, we'll be showing this in Venice next week. Yeah, so what's that? Yes, of course, and I guess this is why our community's grown, and like it's flying, right? I mean, there's so many projects that are like competing on the international stage these days. Super proud of, you know, so Antoinette and Kirsten's going to be there, and yeah, it's going to be rad. It's going to be rad. So
When's the world going public?
right, and then
Public for the festival?
it'll be, it's good. So I got asked to do the Venice Festival World in VR chat as well, which I don't have a video or any like thing to share, but it's going to go live in the next couple of days. So yeah, I hope it gets received better than last year's. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents that I'd share. All right, anybody else? Anybody else got anything to share? Oh, happy? All right, cool. Then just a big thank you to everybody who makes these things happen. You know, Lex busts his balls every month to come and hook us up, whether it's him or one of his contacts. It's really appreciated. Tundor for hooking up the music every time. Sweet Beats are going to be playing again soon. Lovemore and Ann for hooking up this awesome venue. I flippin' love coming to this place. Zofa, Von Mash, and Luke for their presentations. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for sharing your work. Hey? It's really inspirational stuff. We didn't do VR stuff today. And what's up to everybody in the stream? And yeah, thanks to you guys, the community. Thank you so much for coming through and hanging out. All right, and now you're welcome to grab a drink from the bar, hang around for a bit. Please engage with the folks who gave presentations today. I'm sure they're dying to hear your thoughts on their work, and let's hang out. Thanks, everybody.